Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy I for the Nintendo Entertainment System, played on the Wii Virtual Console. Last episode, Marty Mouse, Milo, Wimbley, and Fibbs managed to defeat Kraken, the Fiend of the Water. And so now it's time for us to head back down into the Sea Shrine. We'll let the mermaids know that, hey, the Kraken has been defeated. Unfortunately, this is kind of a wasted trip because not many of the mermaids actually change their dialogue, and the ones that do, it's not really important. Yeah, I guess maybe they were running out of space on the cartridge or something, but yeah, the mermaids are just pretty much going to say the same things that they said before. One or two do change their dialogue, so I just want to show that off. So that's the only reason I'm going down here to make the trip. I'm going to have to make another trip to Onrak later, after I defeat the Fiend of Air. Because the one man who says that, before, Kraken, that Onrak thrived, he surprisingly does not change his dialogue until after you defeat the Fiend of the Air. So yeah, he still says the same thing, even though we've defeated the Fiend of the Water. So, but yeah, like I was saying, maybe they were just run out of cartridge space and didn't have the space to change up the dialogue again. Another group of folks who don't change their dialogue is the circle of sages, the 12 sages back at Crescent Lake. Their dialogue doesn't change until after we defeat the Fiend of Air, so there's no point in going back to talk with them. Because they're just going to say the same thing they said after we defeated Carrie. So, once again, maybe it was a space limitation. So, space limitation is actually what caused Square to move the Final Fantasy brand from the PlayStation, from the Nintendo consoles over to the PlayStation consoles. When Nintendo came out with the Nintendo 64, they decided to continue with the cartridge-based games, where the Sony PlayStation, the new kid on the block, went with CDs. So Square was, Final Fantasy VII is known for its full-motion videos, and they basically couldn't fit everything they wanted to on like a cartridge. So they ended up moving over to the PlayStation. Still couldn't fit it all on one CD. That game actually had 3 CDs. But it would be basically the beginning of a long relationship between Square and PlayStation. A lot of the future games just came out exclusively on the PlayStation. So helped the PlayStation gain a foothold over here in America. And Final Fantasy VII was also brought role-playing games into kind of prominence. So the aggressive ad campaign and the videos and stuff and the good commercials and stuff that they made really attracted a whole new audience of people. So yeah, that one mermaid changed her dialogue, said basically, hey, now that the sea will return to order and be beautiful like it was before. But yeah, she's basically the only one who changed anything. The other ones are still talking about, are we going to become Bubbles, and Kraken lives on the bottom floor. No, he doesn't. We've defeated him, and since he's defeated, you don't have to worry about becoming Bubbles. So, yeah, I think it wasn't until Final Fantasy XIII that the Final Fantasy wasn't just exclusive to the PlayStation and PC. I know 7 and 8 came out on the PC, that's how I managed to play them, because I didn't have a PlayStation growing up. Super Nintendo was the last console I had until I got a Wii about 14 years ago. But that's how I managed to get 7 and 8, but for the most part, PlayStation had all the Final Fantasy games just for it. 7, 8, 9... 9 didn't come, or any of the other ones didn't come out on PC after that. I think until, like I said, until 12. Oh, 11, because 11 was like a multiple MMO, I don't even know what it stands for. But yeah, MMO. Yeah, then 7, 8, 9 was on the PlayStation 1, then 10, 11 the MMO, and 12 were on PlayStation 2, and then 13 came out for the PlayStation 3, and also then cross-platform to the Xbox. So, but for a while there, they just stuck around on Sony consoles. But let's get back to the Final Fantasy that we're working on right now. Final Fantasy 1. I'm just gonna go sell that Power Glove. Like I said, temper is bugged in this game, doesn't work, so no point in having that Power Glove. So, although having a 10% buff would be really, really nice to damage, but sadly, once again, a lot of, programming errors in this game, but this was like kind of the first game that was really I guess in this kind of field for Square. Before that, they made a bunch of different other games like Rad Racer, so different games that you wouldn't expect to be Squaresoft games. But well, let's head back down to the Mirage Tower. In the last episode, like I said, we defeated Kraken, who was like basically the big bad under the sea. Now we're going to look for the big bad on the land. So we have 2 more land enemies, overworld enemies that we haven't encountered yet, and they can both be encountered in this desert here, the Red Ankylo and the T-Rex. Red Ankylo is not that uncommon, and there we have them. They're actually, I think, a little bit easier than the Ankylos. They definitely give more gold, because the Ankylos only gave like 1 gold, I think. And we just saw what the poison smoke does there. Instantly defeats an enemy. And unfortunately it defeated the one that was targeted by Wimbley. So, but hey, we got a first strike, so we can get some good damage on them before they get a chance to attack. The other enemy that we have to encounter is the T-Rex. And it only is a 1 in 64 chance of being hit. And this is like the only 1 in 64 enemy that I had a real trouble finding. Well, I guess we had that, the ooze back in the Earth Cave. But there's a bunch of 1 in 64 monsters that I didn't have any issue finding at all, including in some future episodes. I found that Gas Dragon, 1 in 64 chance, real quickly in the Waterfall Cave. And I'll find a few other 1 in 64 enemies without even having to try to farm in future episodes. So I got lucky in that sense, but not so much here. I end up cutting out about close to maybe 10 minutes of encounters before I run into the T-Rex. So get kind of close to another level too. So T-Rex is just a palette swap of the Tyro enemy that we just see right here, but he's going to be blue. Kept this one in because we're going to get another level here. So, we're getting some good experience here as we're fighting these enemies. T-Rex isn't too much different than the Tyro. Has a little bit more hit points, but, nothing major that, like I said, unless you're really going to fill out a bestiary, you don't have to worry about necessarily going to farm it. It's not going to give you massive experience or like a massive reward. It isn't until later Final Fantasies that, the next one, where enemies can start dropping items. So, yeah, Final Fantasy 2 has a pretty unique system, where right here enemies have set drops. They have a set amount of gold that they drop. In Final Fantasy 2, they have basically 8 slots that they can drop. So there's 8 different types of things that can drop. So in that game, one battle you might fight a goblin and get 10 gold. Next time you fight the same goblin again, and you'll get 15. So yeah, it's interesting. They have different drops, and some are more common than others, And but that definitely helps out in the early mid-game in that game. Some of the enemies you're really hurting for gold in that game at the beginning, and some enemies drop some spell books, and spell books sell for some good amount of money. So, but got hung up here a little bit while I was playing there. So, yeah, the dog needed some attention. So, yep, but so cut out a bunch of enemies there. Here's the sandworm here. We want to run from, but I say normally want to run from sandworms, but I kept this battle in to show that monsters can also run. Monsters have a thing called a morale stat, and basically your level is a factor in their morale stat. And basically, if your level kind of exceeds their morale stat, then the enemy has a chance to run away. So I just thought it was interesting that that sandworm ran away. Like I'd expect like some early monsters like maybe ogres, creeps, imps and stuff to run away, but yeah, sandworm's a pretty late game enemy. We encountered that around the Castle of Ordeals. The only reason I was running away from that is because they have that chance to use that crack skill, and that's basically like an earthquake. It forms a crack in the ground, and that could instantly KO your whole party. So, alright, well, we're gonna make a trip to the Mirage Tower, but we did a little bit, way too much grind in there. Like I said, we gained a whole level, so let's just go make a quick save here real quick. We could have used a house and a cabin, but I'm just holding on to them, because Guy is so close by, so save them for later on when I grind. So, also want to make sure we have a full component of healing potions. So I will off-screen getting a whole bunch of healing potions. So took a little extra time here because the healing potions are down at the bottom, but or down toward the bottom, but we ended up filling them up, so I just cut out that thing. Yeah, the Sky Castle, pretty big, so of course we're gonna want to head in with our 99 heal potions. We still have some treasure to get. Remember, on the second floor, we didn't get all that treasure on the left side. We cleared out the right side, but luckily the Mirage Tower is very, very short because the first floor is, well, the first and second floor are all cleared out of treasure, and first floor is really, really short, so, and third floor, so we don't have much to really go. So, here we're gonna get another level. That's why I'm keeping the battle in. Yeah, trap tiles and levels, battles where I get levels, you know, like I said, I'll keep in so we can see the stats. I also mentioned Final Fantasy II. That has a different leveling system, so when I actually play that game, I won't be cutting out any of the random encounters. That way you can see that I'm not grinding at all. I'm not abusing the system. That game can be abused, so I don't want to give the impression that I'm abusing the system. In that game, you don't necessarily gain experience points. You gain experience based on your actions in battle. So you cast a spell, your intelligence may go up. You swing your sword, your strength may go up. You swing your sword enough times, your skill in that sword goes up, and that is how you get, you know, more hits. And you know, you take damage in battle, you gain hit points and vitality. So the way you can cheese the game is you can do this cancel trick where you select an action, cancel, select an action, cancel, and keep doing that and doing that and doing that, and you can, you know, get a lot of experience, weapon levels. You can hit your own party members to gain hit points. It can break the game, but I will not be doing that, so that's why I'll be keeping everything in when I play that game. So, but that'll be a little bit later. I plan on once again going through this game again right after this while it's still fresh in my head, with the other two classes, the 2 knights and 2 ninjas. So Let's see our old friend, the Blue D. He's looking very sad, aka he's looking very blue. So, well, no, aka also known as. I should have said he's looking sad, i.e. that is blue. Yep. I.e. is that is, and e.g. is for example. So, unless you're naming every single example when you use e.g. and it's just like a limited amount of terms, that's when you would use like i.e. So that's what it is. That's the difference. I.e. that is, where you're just basically restating what you previously stated, and e.g. is when you're listing examples. So, but I have to a lot of times correct those things when I'm editing documents at work. People use the wrong one. So, it'll be like, you know, textbook, it'll be like, do this under these conditions, you know, and then they use IE when it should be EG because they're just listing, you know, some examples of conditions. In the rain, in the sun, in the snow, you know, in deep water, in shallow water. They don't list every single condition. So, I know I was talking about earlier about run into rare enemies. These are kind of rare enemies. 1 in 64 chance on this floor. They're a little bit more common on some of the higher floors and in the final dungeon in the game. So it was really nice that I managed to run into them here. So, like I said, I get kind of lucky a few times in this playthrough running into rare enemies. Which is nice. I guess the universe is balancing it out for all the time I had to spend hunting down that T-Rex. But with the hunting down of that T-Rex, we have found every single enemy that's available on the overworld. So now it's just a matter of finding dungeon enemies. Still have a few of them. So, and there are only 3 dungeon enemies, random dungeon enemies, that we can encounter in this dungeon. They're only available in the final dungeon. And unfortunately, one of them is 1 in 64 chance. But spoiler, I actually run into that one real quick. Don't have to do any farming. So, there is some people think it's a 1 in 64 chance, but it's not. It's actually 3 in 64 chance. The War Mech, which is like the optional like super boss in this game. Super bosses, optional super bosses, kind of become a thing in later Final Fantasies. Just to add some extra challenge. So, I guess you could say, I guess you can almost say they started appearing in 3, because you had Leviathan and Bahamut, who were optional summons that you can go and fight. You didn't have to fight them. They were pretty tough monsters. And then 4 had a bunch of optional monsters that you could fight to gain like best equipment in the lunar core. And then 5 had obviously Omega and Shinryu, which you always see me playing in the defeating in the Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 5 4-Job Fiesta. So check out those playthroughs if you'd like. So there we got the Adamant. That is the special metal that the dwarf weaponsmith needs, but we'll deliver that to him after we defeat the Fiend of Air. So thanks for following along. Take care. See you in the next episode where we actually do encounter the Fiend of Air, Tiamat. Take care. Bye.